right, let me shift gears and ask you about this ridiculous organization. Boy, they've proven themselves more political than pro-women. Time's Up. I think they started for, a good purpose to try to help women suffering from sexual harassment, which of course, let's face it, is rampant in Hollywood. The industry that wants to lecture us about
a lot of places.
Hollywood and racism, that we should listen to them because they know all about it. They're the hotbed of it, Hollywood. So Time's Up gets formed. Now the latest news this week is that it's going to lay off most of its 25-member staff, that they'll only have 3 staffers left and a 4-member board. The entire board is basically gone. The CEO got booted. The chairwoman, Roberta Kaplan, she got booted. They've all been falling, one after the other because it was outed. But it was just the latest example that they basically advised Andrew Cuomo on how to attack his lead accuser in the whole Me Too scandal that he was on the wrong end of. By the way, there's yet another accuser who came out today. He's got a 12th now who's making accusations against him. He's facing criminal charges. But I wonder what you make of the complete collapse of Time's Up and what, if anything, it says about our society.
First off, I don't think that it's just a happenstance that it's the same people out in California that started this too. I don't know what they're drinking in the water over there, but there's some pretty crazy stuff that happens. Their heart, I believe, was in the right place. They had some great ideas, but then you raised $24 million and you're not quite sure what to do with that. You could use it to help victims, but apparently they didn't. Instead, they used it for pretty good salaries for executives. The amount that got to the actual victims that they decided to help, again, the ones that they chose, really was paltry. I mean, pitiful. So if you look at any kind of 501c3 charity guide, it tells you what percentage of money raised should be spent on executive salaries and parties that they throw and fundraising events and travel and all that, and how much should be spent actually on the charity, the do good stuff they purport to be wanting to do with the cash. And this was completely upside down. So first, you're a sucker if you gave them money. And, especially after you saw what was happening with it. But then the audacity to claim that they are supporting victims of sexual harassment and go and help someone accused of sexual harassment. I mean,
right.
It's pretty easy to see that that's a conflict there.
And in both cases that I know of where they didn't help the accuser, this case against Cuomo and then Tara Reade against Joe Biden, the women making the accusations were lifelong Democrats. They don't give a damn what the woman, that won't save you. What matters to Time's Up is the political affiliation of the man you're accusing.
Correct.
And only if there's an R after that man's name would Time's Up step in. And that's why they've gone down the tubes, because voters on the left and the right and donors on the left and the right understand that that's utter nonsense. And they've lost the thread. They've lost the mission. By the way, the New York Post, always great for a headline, in reporting on the 12th accuser against Andrew Cuomo, their headline for the story was "Creeper by the Dozen." The Post. They're always good.
Yeah.
All right, wait.
He was, I'm still stunned that you have people like that who just don't get it. Like, he really thought he was this great mayor, or this great governor, and that somehow he thought that he would get away with trying to cover up numbers of nursing home deaths and by skewing things. I mean, who advises them? Who tells them they can get away with it? And why do people continue to prop them up? Because it just leads them to these greater and greater, faults.
Delusions.
I know. It's like when Michael Bloomberg ran for president, or de Blasio running for governor. These are people who, frankly, I think Bloomberg did a very good job in New York City. But you're thinking New York City is not in any way, shape, or form like the rest of the country. It's like if you're the mayor or governor of California, and you think, okay, right now, and I'm not talking Reagan, I'm talking right now, you out there, and somehow you understand the middle of the country, you understand all the different areas. You don't. You're used to dealing with one group of people, and everyone tells you that everything you do is great because it's such a heavily Democratic area. Mm-hmm. And they go out and then seem genuinely surprised when there isn't this outpouring of love for them. But it's just kind of odd. And Cuomo certainly was the poster boy for that. But then for so many politicians, the length of time it took for the Democratic representatives and senators from that state to talk to him about maybe you should consider resigning, maybe, to actually hold him to the same standards that they used for everybody else. That was real slow and real late.
Mm-hmm. Only when they were forced, they were dragged kicking and screaming to that conclusion by Letitia James, the Democratic Attorney General, who wanted his job and is now running for his job. And there's no question there were politics that motivated her in-depth reports on his nursing home scandal and the women who accused him. But the women had independent corroboration. All of them have stood by their stories. And I've read everything Andrew Cuomo's put out in his defense. None of it undermines what they've said. And the numbers only continue to grow. He's now been criminally charged in one of those cases. And that case will play out, I think, as early as January was his next court date, I think, on the one.